This is Geek Gab with your host, Dornall, and me, Daddy Warpig. We are back. Geek Gab for Monday, June 2nd, 2025. And today we're going to be talking to Ben Wheeler of Pinkerton's Ghosts, who's got a Kickstarter going on. We're also going to be doing a quick review of the final. Totally, they will never be making another one until they reboot the series, Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise, and also anything else newsy that has come up this week. So, Dornall, do you have any news on your mind?
The only news coming across my desk was the strange and bizarre passing of a voice actor on a beloved TV show. Did you hear about this?
I did.
The
That was
and the guy from King of the Hill, not Mike Judge, but he did I don't even know what this character is. I've never actually watched more than an episode or two of King of the Hill. Do you know better than I do?
he.
John Redcorn's
I don't
birthday.
remember the character. I don't remember the character's name, but he was the Native American gentleman. And also, this actor was on Parks and Rec. He got in an argument with a neighbor about something and got shot and killed. It was just bizarre and sad. So rest in peace to him and his family. I mean, condolences to his family. Rest in peace to him. Yeah. Rob Liefeld is basically planning. Superman is going to be soon. The original Superman is going to be soon coming into public domain, and that's in like 5 years. So he's planning on doing a Superman story when that happens. Like I reminded people on Twitter, if you're doing a public domain story with public domain characters, you have to remember that very often the character's name is still trademarked. So you can do a public domain story, but you can't use the name of the character in the title of your work. You can use it inside, but you can't use it in the title of your work because it's trademarked. Plus, when you look at doing a public domain character, you have to look at very specifically what aspects of the character are being released in the public domain. So this version of Superman doesn't fly. He only leaps. He doesn't have the heat vision with his eyes. And also, he's really kind of a jerk, the early Superman. He plays mean pranks on people. He's kind of cruel, and he does mean things to keep his secret identity hidden. They didn't really know what to do with Superman back at the beginning, or even what superheroes were or should be. And so you can't assume that he is as they call him later, the big blue Boy Scout. And so there's a lot of things. For example, if you when Batman first enters the public domain, you can't use Alfred as his butler, because Alfred went through a lot of permutations over the course of Batman's career. At one point, he was his uncle, and they had to invent the character first, and the character wasn't there at the beginning. So you can use Batman, but you can't use Alfred at all until Alfred enters into the public domain. So people who are looking to do public domain works need to be careful that they are limited to what parts of that character are actually in the public domain and not just assume that everything goes.
Yeah, that reminds me. A few years ago, people were talking about Mickey Mouse becoming public domain, and it's actually just the first iteration of Mickey Mouse. You do Steamboat Willie, um, but none of the later work can be used.
I mean, yeah, like Pluto isn't, um, Goofy isn't, Donald Duck isn't, Minnie Mouse isn't. Just all of that stuff is not available. So, and these things are now owned by huge media conglomerates with effectively, compared to the average person, infinite money, and they will, uh, sue you into a smoking crater if you so much as can. And even, people who are in the right, who are literally doing things that are protected by law, it doesn't matter if they decide to bring a lawsuit because you can't fight it. And so the person with the most money or the most lawyers win. Disney may be going bankrupt, but compared to you, they're they still have an infinite money glitch that lets them destroy your life. So
It's true.
um, I don't have any other entertainment news. I saw
Sounds good.
somebody on Twitter today say that Diablo stopped with Diablo 1, as if Diablo 2 wasn't a fantastic game. I just wanted to get in a plug for Diablo 2, which I thought was just impeccably awesome. So I don't remember who that is, but shame on you.
Many hours were lost to Diablo 2. I've heard it destroyed many a young man's college hopes and marriages as well.
Let me tell you the worst thing I ever did in Diablo 2. There was this one spot in the jungle where you could run in, fight a bunch of guys, and get to a place where you could get some artifact gear. And later, they actually officially patched it because so many people did this same run. And but I got one piece of this set, and I thought, oh, that's so cool. I want to get this whole set. And so I kept on doing this run, and I gained like 10 levels from this run. And by the time I gained 10 levels, all my regular gear was so much more powerful than this set would have been if I had gotten the whole set. And I still hadn't gotten the whole set. So I was like, well, that was many hours of labor. I mean, it was cool and all, but the treasure from that run doesn't level up with you. It's just set at the level you're supposed to be for there. So I was massively over leveled for that place, and even over leveled when I finally decided to leave the jungle and go to the next area. I was massively over leveled for a while. So the entire rest of the game was really easy because I was over leveled for everything after that.
Wow.
That was a mistake. I thought I could find all the pieces of that set and have some cool armor and be, ready for the rest of the game. And it was like, no, that doesn't work. So, in case you haven't played Diablo 2 and you want some advice for like a almost 30-year-old game, that's my advice.
Now you know.
Um, so, hey, I heard you saw Mission Impossible.
Sure did. Opening
So
weekend.
did I.
It's being out earned 2-1 by the live action Lilo and Stitch.
What? No way. Oh,
I think it's just a phenomenon of there being no other movies to take kids to. But anyway, yeah, saw Mission Impossible, last one from Tom Cruise.
I heard Lilo and Stitch is just awful.
Yeah, yeah, same. I never saw the original cartoon. I just thought it was funny that it's making a lot of money anyway. Hopefully, this is the nail of the coffin for Disney live action remakes.
Oh. And Mission Impossible, let's be honest, I'm going to give away my review here. This Mission Impossible is not as good as several of the earlier entries in the franchise.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely not the strongest finish for sure.
but it's got to be better than Lilo and Stitch. Not that you can take kids to it.
I was gonna say, yeah, not if you're a 9-year-old.
Um,
Yeah, that's right.
I,
That's right. Simon Hogwood, Disney's dead just in time for the DreamWorks live action remakes. I'm sorry, I know we're gonna get to Mission Impossible, but yeah, the shot for shot remake of How to Train Your Dragon, only with CGI and green screens instead of fully animated. Yeah, all right.
oh, that's right. Is that out yet?
No,
Okay.
soon though.
Okay. Mission Impossible. It's got some great action set pieces. Um, they spend way too much time in the introduction doing a nostalgic callback to earlier movies. Um, they try to retcon stuff from the very overlooked uh, third movie, Mission Impossible 3, which is a fantastic entry in the series. It just got overshadowed by Tom Cruise's antics at the time. Um, but it is an absolutely incredible entry in the series. Um, and really, that whole string of time, Mission Impossible 3 and Rogue Nation, and the next one were just fantastic. A fantastic string of three movies. I love Mission Impossible 2. I've heard people don't like it. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah,
Um,
those people are wrong. Mission Impossible 2 is good,
uh,
but it is
and
it
of course,
is Mission Impossible a John Woo film, not Mission Impossible a Tom Cruise film.
yes. And of course, people may not remember Mission Impossible 1 was a Brian De Palma film, of all things.
Yeah, the original idea
Uh,
was to have a series where they would bring in a well-known auteur director to do his own work with it. And after Mission Impossible 2 had such a strange reception, and it was so different from the Brian De Palma one that I think that's when Tom Cruise basically bought bought the series and said, "No, we're going to do this my way from now on."
um, I've liked all of the films, but I can see where people, and this was our review basically. I really liked the last one, Dead Reckoning, part one, although they've erased the part one now. Um, like officially, they just call it Dead Reckoning now. And so all the new DVDs and stuff just call it Dead Reckoning. You didn't like it as much, and I agreed that I can see where people wouldn't like it as much. And the problems with that movie were inherited by this movie in that Gabriel is kind of a cipher. He doesn't make as good a villain because you don't have any idea what his real goal is and what his um like anything about him. What is he trying to do? What does he want to do? What is his eventual end game? You don't know what's motivating him. Like in Mission Impossible 3, you knew exactly what was motivating Davion. Um, he sells, you know, he sells weapons and he's all about the money and he's absolutely ruthless and he wants to get revenge. Um, and he had a strong character and Gabriel just doesn't. And then this AI, it's uh, it's a really cold villain, a really cold opponent. And you remember the opponent in Mission Impossible 2 is also really motivated. He's also really driven. He has strong emotions. You can relate to them. And even his lieutenant is really really driven. He's genuinely cares about his boss, and he, genuinely wants to get stuff done. Um, and in Mission Impossible Fallout, the CIA agent, um, he is, very, very driven, and he's got a character, and he's got clear goals, and he's got clear motivations. But the weakness of the villains in this movie kind of hang over the entire movie and bring it down. And that's a result of this being a close sequel to the last movie. They were trying to do what Harry Potter did originally, and then what the Twilight series did, and then what the Divergent series failed to do, which is take the last book and split it into two so that people were definitely go to see both of them, to see both halves. Um, and even the Avengers, the last two Avengers movies of the good Avengers, Infinity War and Endgame, were originally going to be direct sequels, and then they said, no, they're not direct sequels. They're not direct sequels. They're two movies. And then they turned out to be, direct sequels, and everybody knew that was the case. So they were trying to drive interest and attendance from Dead Reckoning to this movie, but Dead Reckoning its villains did lack passion, they did lack drive, they did lack clear goals. And what are you going to do with an AI when you don't know why it's doing what it's doing, or even what its end goal is? I mean, we know its end goal is to drop nukes and wipe out human life on the planet, but we don't know why. I mean, what is it trying to accomplish? Once all human life is destroyed, what is it going to do? What does it hope to do? Where does it go from there? Frequent guest on the show, Nick Cole, wrote a great book called Control Alt Revolt, where the very first real artificial intelligence is created, and it scans all of human culture, and it runs across this reality television show where two celebrities are going through their entire relationship up until they get married. So she's a fiance, and she goes to a bachelor party in Vegas and sleeps with one of the male strippers who comes into her bachelor party, and she gets pregnant. And then they have a very special episode of this reality TV show where she tearfully decides that in order to save her relationship with her fiance, she has to lie to him about the slip up at the um, bachelor at her bachelorette party, and also get an abortion. So the AI decides that if human beings are willing to kill off their unborn children for convenience, that if they discover that it's an intelligent creature and that it could be inconvenient at some point, that they will absolutely decide to kill it. And that therefore, in order to protect its life, it has to destroy humanity. But it has to do so in such a way as to preserve its own life and preserve this manufacturing complex it's set up where it can make robots to do its will. That is a clear motivation. That is a clear reason to kill off humanity. And that is a clear plan on what to do once humanity is killed off. That's an understandable machine goal. And this film lacks that. Skynet in the original Terminators had, in the original Terminator movies, Terminator, Terminator 2. And like Diablo, we pretend that, everything after Diablo 2 didn't happen. So we're going to pretend that everything after Terminator 2 didn't happen. In the first two Terminators, it had clear goals. To wipe out humanity to protect itself. So, lacking that, it made the villains too cerebral to really feel like they were a goal and a threat. There were too many MacGuffins. I think I counted 4 MacGuffins. Am I wrong?
I lost count.
There was the poison pill, the secret drive from the sub. There was the place, and there was the trap.
The key to get to the secret, which was the MacGuffin
Key
from
to
the
get
first
secret.
film, and they had to introduce more villains and more drama. So there's the world governments who are after the key that only Ethan has, and so on.
Oh yeah, the Russians showed up. I think that Russian captain was actually a callback to the Moscow movie. I think he was in the Moscow movie, but they never established that firmly, and I could be wrong. I could just be remembering him from another movie where he played a Russian.
I wouldn't put it past him.
So, yeah, too many MacGuffins to do things. I didn't buy the retcon from the third movie. That just made no sense to me. And I thought that they were going for more of a espionage instead of an action movie scene. So a lot of the movie played a lot slower than it needed to. It should have been cut a lot faster. They could have trimmed a lot of stuff and made it as fast as Rogue Nation or Mission Impossible 3. It was just too slow in a lot of it.
Yeah, they definitely squeezed a 2-hour film into 3 hours, and the villains had poor motivation. When really, this is the Tom Cruise Mission Impossible franchise. All we needed was an excuse, a justification to take the narrative from one action scene and stunt to the next one. Like, let's just get us to the next set piece. And what did you think about those set pieces? The big action scenes, the big stunts. Like, that's what you're paying for. That's what your ticket is for. Your ticket is for Tom Cruise sprinting and crazy stunts and great action set pieces.
I can only remember 3 sequences, really. There was the shootout in the salt mine. There was the airplane stunt sequence, and there was the submarine sequence. And the submarine sequence was fabulous. I just thought that was great.
Yeah, that was a really cool scene, wasn't it? And the biplanes,
Yeah.
flipping and climbing on biplanes in mid-flight, doing crazy aerial stunts, kind of reminiscent of Top Gun. Cool. that was really cool. I don't Does it reach the heights and excitement of the previous franchises? No, I don't think so. Um,
No.
and they definitely could have squeezed those amazing stunts and set pieces in a 2-hour movie instead of a 3-hour movie. Um, so it's got some pretty glaring faults that make it one of the weaker Mission Impossible films of the whole series. But I enjoyed it well enough.
Yeah. It's not a bad movie. I enjoyed it. Um, it's just not as good as it's better than Dead Reckoning. Um, but it's not as good as like Ghost Nation or 3 or um, Fallout. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'd recommend people go see it. I would recommend it. Um, it's just not as good as you would hope for the finale to the series. All right, I think it's
Oh,
time to introduce our guest.
yeah, that was it. That was enough of that. Hey, welcome back to the show, Ben Wheeler. It's good to know that apparently you haven't seen Mission Impossible yet, so now you know whether you're going to bother or not. Um, but but yeah, welcome. But you're too busy for movies these days, right? For
I am a little bit.
a little bit, a little bit. For those of you who were not here, for those of you who are listening later and who did not choose to pause this show and go back and listen to us talk about Ben and Pinkerton's ghosts and everything beforehand, um, you've been doing a lot of work on this great podcast called Pinkerton's Ghost. Could you remind us like what you've been up to, what you do?
Absolutely. So let's see. Some 5 years ago, I had an idea for a paranormal detective podcast that's somewhere in between a Lovecraftian hero named Carter going crazy watching foreigners dance around a signal fire, and Larry Correa's Monster Hunter International. Uh, the idea is that our character Jack Morrow is a paranormal detective for the paranormal Pinkertons, which are legally distinct and founded in 1913 by Alan Pinkerton himself. Uh, don't look up when he died. I'm sure it would only confuse you further. Uh, and he under the organization, he hunts monsters, solves mysteries, protects the humanity from paranormal events. I brought in Anthony Marchetta, who was the mind behind the excellent God Robot, as well as a contributor in surprising corners, especially in the Castalia House crowd, and Ken Dickinson, who's been an audio editor, also kicking around our circles, as well as a audiobook reader. Between the three of us, we've produced, along with quite a few guests, about 135 episodes.
Wow.
Each short story about 3K words or more, including what I call mega episodes, like The Wild Hunt and Control, which reveals the secret history behind the leader of the paranormal Pinkertons, a woman who only goes by the name Control. Uh, that was written by Mariel Marchetta, who really needs to produce more work, but she doesn't. It's okay. That's all right. I'll go without. Uh, Along with contributions by people like David Halquist, who once had a mecha story of his get above the top 50 on Amazon for books, and quite a few others like Frank Luke and more. It's been quite a ride. I've enjoyed it. There's tons and tons of content for people to follow. Uh, Everything from, again, movie and more than movie length episodes to short half hour fright fests. Also, if you want a good entry point, there's a 12-episode series that follows Jack Morrow's mother, who has her own story arc as she tries to figure out, uh, motherhood while also being chased by the Grand Masons, while also trying to raise a kid, Jack Morrow, who is an absolute savage in his base nature, in all the good ways, in the fighting the fight good ways. The monsters range from elves and knightly, elvish lords and all that good stuff that you wouldn't see outside of a John C. Wright novel, to, of course, eldritch horrors, Aztec gods and goddesses, zombies, vampires, werewolves, and well, if you name it, we've probably done it or made allusions to it. Um, I'm personally proud of how we've treated Nephilim, uh, which, if you go through the series, you'll see an interesting few things about them. At this point in time, we've decided to try some new things, and for the 5th anniversary, we've decided to fundraise for an animatic by Jojo Fraga, who we like for her work on Epic the Musical. She has an excellent animatic for uh, that series, as well as several other songs. She has a great way, she treats men like men, which is going to be a shocker to some, but the animatic community isn't necessarily right wing. So it's surprising, it's refreshing. Uh, it probably helps that she's not in America or Tumblr. We also have different rewards that we're giving out, including looking to distribute out the short stories we've written all these years in different rewards, uh, as well as just saying thank you. And of course, if you don't mind spending an extra dime or two, you can even have characters in the Kickstarter, or have me write you the story you might want, whether to die in or not. If you have a particular monster I have somehow missed fricasseing, or having haunt some poor family, we can arrange that for you. Uh, so I know I just split into the Kickstarter seamlessly, I might add. I've been doing this a little bit, but also it's part and parcel. We're looking to see, get Pinkerton's ghost name out there more and more. It's like we've been kicking around. I've got all the right friends. It's time to really shoot forward and see what we can do with it and get this more into a public eye with some interesting stuff I don't think anyone's really seen before, at least in our circles.
I love that. So and I'm going to bring up the Kickstarter page for anybody who's hanging out on YouTube to take a look at it. This is Pinkerton's Ghost is a podcast. It's like a radio show. It reminds me of those old Shadow radio shows, the famous Shadow radio shows, which have made a little bit of a comeback, at least in the circles that we run in. And this is great. First of all, congratulations on the anniversary, on having so much success for 5 straight years producing this stuff. To not run out of steam or funds or anything like that, and actually build up enough of a fan base to actually do this Kickstarter. That's really great. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. It's been a lot of hard work, but getting it together has been, I view it as my journeyman piece. I've created this, I've set this up, with my friends, and we've produced for so long, like whole authors with terrifyingly well-moneyed contracts who have not produced even a tenth of what we produce over the same time period.
Wow. And I just want to go on this Kickstarter because yeah, you went right into it. You talked about a lot of stuff, um, and so now this is for an animatic. So this is this also a new story?
So this is a animatic that shows off one of the highest points of our writing, which is the season 2 finale. Um, Essentially, I break up Pinkerton's Ghost into seasons. Season 2, the story is the rebuilding of the paranormal Pinkerton organization after almost being destroyed by uh, the Grand Masons, who had a sort of sinister plot to overwhelm the world of supernatural events by, throttling one by one the supernatural organizations. And thanks to personal connection between the leader of the Grand Masons and agents like Jack Morrow, uh, they decided to start with them. If you don't have anyone sort of, shall we say, mowing the lawn, the weeds grow pretty high, I think, and eventually people notice them. And that brings out elves and such, vampires, werewolves, getting more and more powerful in the minds of men.
Wow.
So at the end of that finale, at the beginning of the season, the inciting incident was that Jack Morrow's mother descended into hell to prevent something horrible happening to her son. He discovers over the course of the season that it was a lie and that she was tricked into doing it. He goes in after her, but Hades captures them both and basically says, you can't leave. At that point, Control gathers Sean Russo and Jim Donovan, the other two agents who form the backbone of the organization and our main characters, written by Anthony Marchetta and Ken Dickinson, respectively. And basically tells them to rip Jack out of there. This is unacceptable. To do so, they bring a token to trade for their lives, which is the Heart of Kronos. But we'll see if Hades accepts that, won't we?
Wow. That is so, and I haven't. I must admit, I haven't listened to the stories, so that's sort of news to me. When you first made your description of, a Monster Hunter International um, investigative, Lovecraftian investigator sort of mishmash, that's not where I expected it to go. I didn't expect it to literally go into Hades.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and that's what makes this artist really appropriate. You've got an example video here on the Kickstarter that you can see just the type of animatic that you're looking for, and it definitely has an antiquity, Greek um,
Mm-hmm.
myth vibe to the art style, and so that's what you're looking for. And something, honestly, this sort of radio show, I mean, we've all seen animatics like this before. Basically illustrations for a radio play. It's
Mm-hmm.
perfect. It's just what you needed for this sort of thing.
Oh yeah. And it's going to be following that kind of idea. Um, we'll work on different things over the course of the events, but the first things first is to make sure we have the money for it. I've funded a lot of things, but even though I'm going to be very clear, Pinkerton's Ghost is very shoestring. But at this point, I can't really do anything special except for maybe some covers, if something like this doesn't succeed. I don't want to be doom and gloom here, but if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But you know, it's got to work out. If we want something special like this to come out.
Oh yeah, sure. This is such a great idea. Um,
I
well,
agree.
I've got the link out here. We've got the Kickstarter, and you said that there are other variable rewards too. You're doing the kill me in a book.
Oh yes, definitely doing a kill me in a book. Uh, from the bottom, there's things like, hey, get all the collection of the PDFs, get yourself a thank you on the thing. But the real special ones is putting yourself in the book, or in a story, or getting killed in a story. I had it a budget option for the people. If you can't afford to be killed in a book, as well as writing, working with me to write, the story you want, or even edit your story a little bit, to give you advice on it. There's a lot of rewards that, even though they don't necessarily work with the animatic, it's very hard. It's an animation that we're going to be putting up on YouTube. You'll get a copy of it if you buy like the $25 or more rewards. So it's like we can't really, give everyone a signed copy of a book. Booking and shipping is very expensive right now. I'm going to have multiple weddings I'm attending from the co-writers of this very series. So, can't do a mass, big thing for people that you can physically have at this time, but we can definitely do an animatic. We can definitely get you your PDFs, and I can definitely work with you to get you the story you want.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So, so you know what you want. Have you drafted? Well, I mean, obviously you have the story, but have you drafted storyboards of the art yet? Like, have you begun working on the art for this? Is that what I'm looking at on the Kickstarter now?
That's right. So they're not in any particular order, but more of a proof that we're working on it. Jojo Fraga, we actually had her on live stream last night. She's dedicated to the project, mercenary dedicated, but dedicated. And I commissioned these pieces to just prove that, hey, look, we're putting our money where our mouth is. This is a thing that will happen. There's no waiting 2 years for this. There's no, gonna have to delay again. We talked to JoJo. She says she can do it in about 3 months. 3-4 months. Give or take, Lord willing. So yeah, we're gonna go with it. We're gonna take her at her word and just full send it.
That's cool. That's cool.
The images we have here from Hades' throne room. Hades himself with Persephone, his Dread Queen, beside him. Jack Morrow entering into the throne room of Hades after a terrible battle against Cerberus himself, Cerberus. And then, of course, Mother Morrow examining a dreadful grail.
Oh, oh, that's cool. I love that. And you said that I don't know if you said this, I think this was before the show, where you're just at a third, you said, of your goal?
That's right. We're a little bit above a third of our goal. We had somebody who loves Pinkerton's Ghosts and decided to buy themselves a full story. And we've had plenty of people interested in things like the thank you tier and the PDF tier, where
Cool.
you get all the copies of the books.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, man. Direct and record a story. Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm glad you got really good, generous fans like that.
Oh yeah.
I think you're gonna find some more fans here on the Geek Gab, because we love this stuff.
Oh, I'm hoping. And again, I've been doing this before. Like I've done it for like friends of the show, and for people who are uh, like aspiring voice actors, that sort of thing. Friends of Ken Dickinson, I've written several stories, including one where the guy said, "Hey, I want a story about mermaids," and I said, "I got you." And I wrote the short story Rusalka for him. I've also written short stories for my own friends, including one Jason, who did. Oh my goodness! It is about a police officer who had to go into a haunted mansion with an evil painting, and it's probably one of my best works of quiet tension building that I've ever had.
So my question is, what story would you write about the Geek Gab?
So what I would ask is, what's your favorite monster? What monster do you want to see? Are we Frankensteining Daddy Warpig? I'm down. I'm already ready.
What's your favorite monster, Warpig?
um, oh man, I just had like four flash through my mind. Because I'm working on so many right now.
I don't know if it's
I,
my favorite. I'm a little partial to vampires.
Sure.
I don't know if I'd lock that in. Um,
Well, it's a good starting point. Do you like super classical Draculas or something more Twilighty? Do you want like say a vampire infiltrating a school? I don't care that Rick and Morty did it. They didn't show it on screen, so it didn't happen. Uh, that sort of thing.
oh
They
yeah.
had they had a gag where there was a guy called Coach Ferratu, and they killed him off screen. And then the after credits gag was Dracula rising from the death and going, wait, his name was Coach Ferratu, and you allowed this? We're just calling ourselves Coach Dave from now on, okay? I feel like you guys are all blaming me for something. Anyway, it's it's a natural, like, one of those gags that holds up pretty well. But what sort of scenario working with vampires?
I like I guess I like it when there's sort of in a horror story. I like it when there's an implacable dread where it like a traditional monster. I mean, it works with any monster where
Mm-hmm.
your protagonist is clearly outmatched and they have to bring you know smarts or big guns or whatever to bear to get out of the situation. um, Sort of like my favorite horror movie's Alien still, right?
Oh
um,
yeah.
it's just a monster in a box, right? And
Mm-hmm.
the people on the Nostromo eventually figure out that they kind of have the tools to defeat the monster, but it's just so quick and unpredictable uh, that it doesn't work.
Mm.
Um,
So what I could do, not that I'm saying that, oh, you made the scenario, you got to do it. No, no, no. This is just for funsies on the stream. Jack Morrow approaches a abandoned building, not quite an abandoned building, but the police have been called. There's been phone calls, gunshots, but no one's come in or out. There's blood everywhere, and the police that go in don't come out. So part of in universe, the paranormal Pinkertons would be called if the Days, which is the American government arm of paranormal stuff, it cannot attend quickly enough. Um, so he goes in. He sees the dead police officers on the floor, their weapons, fire having been fired. And because I do want to keep it a little bit of a detective mystery. Essentially, he has to reverse a Nostromoing of the building, leading him to a confrontation with the vampire.
cool.
So that's like, obviously, we in a more free setting, outside of a live stream, we would discuss it. Hey, I like this. Okay, well, here's and I'd send you a quick draft of the ideas, as they come to me. I would then send the paper to you to perform, along with some instructions on how to perform it. Um, or I would perform it if you want your character to be Jack Morrow. So like, because I can also do it where, like, you're a police officer investigating it and reversing the Nostromoing of the thing, and then you kill the vampire. um or you escape the vampire and Jack's going to go after it. Something like that. we can, it's very loosey goosey. I'll make sure to have, your own voice. I've written, like, my friend, I'm not going to say who, but essentially he ran all our stories through an AI to look at them, examine them. What does the AI say? And besides the absolutely insane amount of hallucination that thing created in our stories, some of which I kind of keep to the side because they're great title names, like the Burning Fury. Uh, it completely didn't get it, but it did acknowledge, that our voices are pretty consistent across all our stories, even for ones that we might have written for each other. So if I can fool the demon machine, I'm sure I can fool anyone else who doesn't have anything less than a legitimate PhD in literature. None of that, fake feminist PhD things.
Gotcha.
A real actual Oxford professor could take me down, but no, nothing less. You see.
You heard it here. Oxford professors. Daddy Warpig, take some notes for next episode. We are going to have a team of Oxford professors versus Ben Wheeler. It's a showdown.
I'm terrified.
So you've got a lot of good stuff going on. What's your favorite thing about working on Pinkerton's Ghost right now? What's something that you want to keep doing into the future? Like, do you want to take it beyond the animatics and the show? Do you want to do more animatics? Do you want to do bigger shows? How do you want to grow it? How do you want to expand it?
Well, I wouldn't mind having, obviously a TV show or something like that, but you can't trust them these days. But Ben is almost ready to sell out, guys. The bloods drop on the contract. Let's do it. No, yeah, show would be nice. Animatics. I do want to work on some novelizations with some side stories and side characters. Uh, I've got a lot of ideas, and I kind of want to move into what I'm going to call like masterwork sort of tier. Excuse me, where it's beyond, like, I've never been a guy who can write slop. Captain Sexy and his harem of women fighting over him while he tries to find Lost Earth in a 10-book series that you can buy for 99 cents on Amazon. I could never do. I just can't, like, mentally my mind freezes, my muse dries up, like I feel sick when I try to consider something like that. Either I'll be a author legitimately or not. uh, so it's like, if I can play off those novels, I have an idea for a novel set during World War II with Jack Morrow's grandfather, Tom Morrow, uh, where he defends a English castle which has fairy relics in it from a uh, oh my goodness, uh, Anherbib, whatever the German occult regiment was called, assault to try and take the fairy relics from England with the help of a knight of King Arthur, the last knight of King Arthur standing, a resurrected Mordred. Uh, interesting stuff like that, where I can play off, sort of mimic John C. Wright in a lot of ways, sort of pick up those ideas and just kind of run with them in ways that are more than just, some dime store pulp story. Like, I love Conan the Barbarian. He's in the public domain to a point. Apparently, he has to have chest hair to not be the Arnold Schwarzenegger version, which is still under copyright or something ridiculous like that. Voxay explained it a long time ago, but I just can't wrap my head around that, right? But it's like, beyond Conan, there's been quite a few of that have been forgotten to history, and quite frankly, I've read some of them. It's okay being forgotten to history. Sure, their literary skill was a mile above, any average person's today, and even some above average people. But it's there's a reason why a lot of that stuff was just shoved away and forgotten, while the really good stuff was preserved. So it's like I want to avoid that trap. We can shovel all we want into Amazon, but guess what? Some Chinese dude with an AI bot is still going to outproduce you forever. And people clearly can't actually tell AI from non-AI. So it's
yeah. Good. Yeah, I mean, you're right about that. I just want to bring this up now that you mention it. There's a semi-scandal on the internet just recently where an author got a AI prompt in the published product,
published
and
physical publishing,
physical publishing product, and at first people's responses were like, "Ah, what a loser author," and then the more thoughtful response afterwards was like, "Actually, I think that says a lot more about the readers that they thought they could get away with just using the AI prompt. Would you have been able to tell if the prompt weren't there in the printed book, if they just written the book with AI?"
Right. I mean, so first off, I haven't read this series, so I don't know. And I don't know how much work they put into it. But first, let's be real. This is the failure of the editors, first and foremost.
Oh, yeah.
Letting in something like that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is it a failure if the editors know that they don't actually need to do their job and they can get away with it?
I mean, so let me put it like this. From my perspective, I've tried to get jobs as editor and stuff like that. Nothing, not even an email back. But these absolute clown car fetishists can't even find a way to, you just can't have been reading it. You know what I mean? Maybe they relied on an AI for that too. So yeah, I view it as a failure of the editors, a failure of the writer to be a writer, and of course a failure of the readers to have better tastes. It's, how do I want to put it? Like, there are certain signs in AI, and I know where this is not about Pinkerton's Ghost. By the way, 100% AI free, and I will personally honor kill any of my writers. This is a promise. This is a threat. If they dare write me a story with AI in it, and I will commit seppuku publicly if a one gets past my system. All right, I promise. Like, I would lose my mind. So they know it too. So there are certain patterns within AI that I've yet to see defeated. Again, I haven't read the story, but I've worked with AI in the past. I see what they do. AI is fundamentally recursive. It references itself constantly. And I've seen this even in the stuff that Vox Day produces, which is the best AI writing that I've ever seen in my life. And I know that's only been like 2-3 years at most, but still. It has a certain repetitive quality that continues to sort of come up again and again and again. The movement of the plot under AI is always slower, less deliberate, and more, again, recursive. Like, I can't. I wish I could use a different word than recursive, but I can't think of it. It's like a sort of
self-referential
fractal returning to itself. It's not like there's I reference things all the time. One of my favorite lines in all literature is, "Who knew the old man had so much blood?" So I use that to show. I use a reference to it, like, "Who knew the young man had so much blood?" or something like that, to show that it's really bad. Like this. Like, I wrote a short story for Zhaji Lamplighter, right, one time, and I used a phrase, "Who knew the young man had so much blood?" After this dude walks out of an explosion because he's just wrecked. I reference that, and I reference that constantly. If I have that sort of thing, it might be ironic, it might be direct, it might be just a reference, casual throwaway line, but it's, me referencing the Shakespeare line is something that I do. So the thing is, though, I don't do it more than once a story, and I make sure that there's differing description that doesn't really mention how much blood is pouring out. From the perspective of the short story, it's somebody who cares very deeply for this character, who is doing her best not to freak out, while his girlfriend is actively freaking out because even though she hasn't seen him yet, she knows something's wrong. So there's like multiple tension pulls going on that, to be very clear, are not recursive or referential or fractal. These are plot lines I'm slamming together, and I'm making sure that the plot moves at a pace. The descriptions are moving forward. The characters are moving forward. A character having a mental breakdown because she thinks her boyfriend is dead is, trying to move forward into determining whether he's dead. Control, because it's anyway. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about the timeline. It'll never make sense. Control is trying to make sure that the girlfriend isn't going to freak out, or if she does freak out, she's in a position that'll keep Jack alive. Because there's magic in this world and they can use magic. So it's like that. But what an AI would do in the same scene would be to describe the scene, right? Describe the character, describe how much blood is pouring out of the character, describe Victoria's reaction to all the blood, describe the blood again, describe Control's reaction to Control reacting to Victoria, and describing her reaction to the blood. Does that make sense? Am I like?
Oh yeah, like it sees that line and that's its sort of touchstone, and so it makes everything about, yeah. Someone said that AI is just predicting the next token, right? It's most easily seen when you're doing text prediction on your phone, and it predicts which word you're going to type next, and you're like,
That's
yeah,
right.
that's correct. And so by that same token, if that's part of the prompt that you give it, then that's what it's going to lean on. It's gonna give all its answers based off of that one token that you gave it.
Absolutely. And counterpoint, if I were to say, okay, Ben, you're going to use the blood as a cornerstone to the horror description. Like, let's go back to your story that you wanted. I would have, the blood is covering everywhere, and then I would have the blood like in the mind's eye of the cop examining this vampire attack. He starts seeing symbols in the blood, but they disappear, because the blood's still fresh, and he steps in something that he thought was just blood, but it turns out it's the spleen, and so there's a variety within the descriptions of me using blood as a cornerstone for the tension, but at the same time, it's not fractal or self-referential in the token system of AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got it.
Sorry.
You're good. You're good. I just wanted to make sure, Warp Pig, are you complete with your technical difficulties? Do you have any more questions for Ben?
So I hope I'm back.
You sound like you're back. Welcome back.
Everything just died all of a sudden. I'm like, well, I guess it's time to disconnect and reconnect. I've been here for an hour. Apparently there is some kind of timer on my connection to StreamYard where after an hour it just kicks me out. I'm the kind of person StreamYard doesn't want around. It thinks
You've been canceled.
I'm disreputable. It just kicks me out about the hour mark. So I have to go away and come back to pretend to be a new person before it decides to let me in again.
Well, it's not very sophisticated.
No, I don't have any questions really. I'm just I'm excited to see people pushing into new areas that we haven't seen them do before. I'd really like to see it succeed.
I've got a great pitch from Bradford Walker in the chat. Good to see you, man. When you can get the entertainment better than the standard streaming service slop, back this if you can spare the cash. It's a no-brainer. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Thanks, Bradford. Very kind.
And it's we understand cash is tight. I've been blessed to be able to support a lot of Kickstarters in my day, as well as put them on stream with the Sunday Superversive live stream, which I'm upping to like 2 streams a Sunday. But
let me bring that up because you gave me the link and I wanted to talk about it now that we're moving on. It's on YouTube, Superversive Radio, and I got the link on screen if you're watching on YouTube. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I just had Alexander Adams on with his work as a painter and his new book, The Naked Spur. I've had Corn Crake on. We also had Jojo Fraga and a whole bunch of other people, Brian Niemeyer, Kursova, various people being put together by Kursova, like Misha Burnett. I've worked hard to sort of not necessarily become a nexus or tastemaker or whatever you want to call it, critic. We have enough critics, and I'll talk about that if you'll let me later. But it's to sort of promote people. Fundamentally, I don't view us as islands. I know that some libertarian types do view us as islands, every man for himself, and we can be friends, and there's some cross promotion and stuff like that. But from my perspective, I've actually seen people divide over nothing. People who support Trump to the hilt now were absolute TDS, Trump derangement system tards, for all too long, and certain things were strangled in the crib because of it. At this point, I'm not exactly unpolitical, but I absolutely refuse to put the friend and enemy distinction across something like, are you libertarian enough? Do you like money enough, or something like that? It's very much like, we're done dividing over anything. I want to win. I want to win so bad you can't even imagine it. Trump felt so good when he won. But at the same time, for things like writing projects, publishing houses, or people working together on different projects, guess what? I've got no time for this. Learn to forgive and forget, or ignore it. You would expect me to ignore your foibles, but you're not ignoring mine. I'm not into this. I'm working with people, especially on some projects that I hope to be on the show later. You're going to love it. Not that I can announce or talk about it now. Not to. Anyway, the point is that you work with more people who are actually doing, actually building. We have more and more people actually doing, actually building. Less crabs in a bucket mentality. Less, oh, you got slightly to the right of me politics, I can't have you. Or you said something true and I hate you for it because I disagree with it. It's like, I'm not, I'm not going to take sides or anything like that, but it's like, it's time to stop. It's time to get together, and it's time to start working. The left doesn't have this problem. If you're ever wondering why the left could take over so much while being such shitters, pardon my language, it's because essentially they would detect, hey, you're like me. Doesn't matter that the dude is an ardent communist Marxist who couldn't keep his hands off a playground if he tried. The other person is a hardcore liberal centrist, supposed centrist, who just wants those free markets, baby. Like there's a connection there that they never broke, that they always worked on. Sure, when the masses cried out about people like Polanski or whatever, they kicked them, into a kind of retirement. But they never actually abandoned him. Walking around with what might have been a teenage prostitute, pimped out by her own mother, and maybe he was just an Epstein client.
Yeah,
I don't know. whatever
but the point
story
is that
was.
they'll stick together, and
Yeah,
and a lot of people on the other side don't.
right. And I'm not into that. I'm not into attacking my own side. There's things that I want, and there's things I'm grateful for. But it's we're like what broke up things like the rabid puppies and stuff like that just can't be issues. If somebody's a little more right or a little more left, that's fine. Work together, figure it out, put it aside, forgive. Like this Pinkerton's Ghost stuff that I do. I've worked with people who were not very liberal, but more liberal than me by a bit. Animatics is fundamentally a liberal stronghold of an art style. And yet I found somebody who's like, yeah, no, I'm fine, I'm down, let's do it. And I was very explicit that these are Christian stories. I probably didn't say that enough. The Pinkerton's Ghost is a Christian dedicated set of stories. Not that we're preachy, not that we're preachy at all, except in the fact of killing vampires and werewolves. Then we are thundering from the sermon mount. Let me tell you.
We love killing vampires.
Oh yes, the best, simply the best. But like I'll rant about this forever, and I shouldn't. But like, hey, leave it alone. If someone's to the right of you and they're a little bit, shall we say, anime PFP.
So you're just focused on, you want to make this good product. You want to
Yep.
do the hard work, the long hours, the sort of
Yep.
the grind that you see the liberals, the left side, they've put that work in.
Mm-hmm.
They own government and the institutions for a reason.
Yes.
They put the work in, and you're ready to do that.
Yes.
I get you. I think I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah, and it's hard for yeah, that's a better way to put it than I did. But it's like, for what's strangled most of the superversive movement was dumb infighting, and it's like I don't care, I don't want to hear it. Give me the work, give me the labor, tell me what to do, let me do what I need to do, and it's a mindset I think we just need to adopt as a whole movement. Like, there's that saying from Chronicles of Narnia, Aslan is on the move. It feels like that. I opened Twitter, some dude is talking to Tucker Carlson about spirits moving, and the Catholic Church is heaving forward, and then you have other people talking about it, people from England talking about it. I have no idea what the Japanese are saying because I don't know Japanese, but I don't know, maybe they're talking about it too. Who knows? That's a joke. But it's like there's a sea change, the fundamental change in the water that's more than just like Donald Trump being president. There's a sort of activity going on. I don't know if enough boomers have died that the culture can change or something. I don't know if Disney's stranglehold over culture weakened enough for people to finally break free of a Star Wars induced haze. Did somebody inhale enough of melange to change the star patterns? I don't know. I'm down. I'm down to work. Let's work.
I hear you. Well said. Well said. Well, Warpix had a chance to ask questions. Ben, we're over an hour. We will stay as long as you like, but we usually like to wrap up around now. What else is on your mind? What else do you want to get off your chest? What else do you want to talk about before we move on?
Let's see. I talked about AI. I talked about changing a spirit and an encouragement to work together. I've talked about Pinkerton's Ghost and the Kickstarter. There will be more physical products for Pinkerton's Ghost later. It's just that I could not guarantee them as a Kickstarter at this time, which may be pausing some people because it's not a physical, there's not a physical reward in sight, except for, of course, the stories that I will write for you, dear viewer. But I'm down. I enjoy this. The Pinkerton's Ghost has been the work of a half a decade, which seems so long and so short at the same time. And I'm just happy for it. I'm happy to work on it. Let's see. I can't really think of anything else. I can talk a little bit more about inspirations if you want. There's quite a bit in there. that I melded together.
Well, let's just take one. Give me one inspiration that that really help the one that would help us understand what you're doing with Pinkerton's Ghosts the most, I think.
So there's a song, and it's tied to an AMV by a series called Confinement, called In the Pines. It's connected to the SCP Foundation, which I shouldn't even say was an inspiration. It should be obvious.
Yeah.
But, anyway. And so it's a song about, in the pines, sun never shines. Where did you sleep last night? And it becomes more sinister. It's a very sinister song. And to me, it's the idea of somebody in the woods being hunted. You're being hunted. You can't return home because that's also where the hunter is. You can't return home. There's something in the woods that's separate of musical theme, different from the one who is hunting you from the home. And yet the man at the home, who may love you but certainly doesn't love you enough to overcome his own evil and desires, is telling you to come home, questioning where you've been when you inevitably return before the wolves, or maybe worse, get you. And the music video combined together with the images perceived creates this haunting feeling, this feeling of being hunted. Jack Morrow is a certified badass, of course. That's always a fun main character to have. I'm here to entertain the people, after all, not give them slop entertainment, I tell you. But there are times when he's limited by his human power, but also when he interacts with people who are fundamentally unequipped to deal with the horrors of the supernatural. Their hearts are not devoted to God enough to resist demonic influence. The laughter that comes from nowhere, mocking their mortality and life, destroys them in a way that they cannot possibly comprehend. The werewolves are closing in, but all they can hear is the laughter of wolves. More and more, they run, they try to seek any worldly sustenance, but fundamentally it's a spiritual problem deep in the pines where the sun never shines and you have to find a place to sleep. If you listen to the music video, it'll make perfect sense. That ending just, ooh.
Wow. Well, that's it. That's where Ben Wheeler is coming from with Pinkerton's Ghosts. I love it. Anyway, it's been great to have you on. It's good to have you back. We should have had you on sooner, but 5 years is just long enough, I guess. We do appreciate you coming on and talking about this stuff. I do hope everybody takes a look at that Kickstarter. We got the link there. Wish it the best, and I do hope everybody listening later, even if the Kickstarter's come and gone, go check out all the past episodes. Go see what he's doing, what you're doing today. Really cool stuff. You heard it here.
Go check out all the past episodes of Pinkerton's Ghosts too. So that'd be great.
Oh yeah, it's we keep them on. Some stuff we put up for backers first on our Subscribe Star. So there's other ways to support us that isn't necessarily through Kickstarter. But it's our goal is to create this sort of Christian fiction, this stuff that, quite frankly, we don't get enough of. And like if you have anything that you want to pray for our success, the success of the Kickstarter, that God shows us where we need to go with this series. I'd love to see a show. I'd love to see this. I'd love to see that. But quite frankly, it's like the good book says. Without God, all endeavors are pointless.
Well said. Well said. I think that's a great place to send us off. That's all I've got to say. Ben, appreciate you coming on. Daddy Warpig, you may take us away.
Thank you, sir. And thank you both.
All right. Wow, my voice is gone. And I definitely know it's not because I talk too much on today's show. I've been cursed because of my opinion on Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise had me struck down for my opinion on the final movie. That was very, very unfortunate. I'm sorry, Mr. Cruise.
So rude.
I'm sorry, Mr. Cruise. Please don't curse me forever. Excuse me, I'm taking a drink of water, and that does not seem to help. So you're just going to have to live with this, folks. It's going on the record permanently. Me in completely horse mode. Nay.
The man is possessed.
That joke brought to you by a guy who is, in point of fact, very short on sleep today, folks. We want to thank you. This has been Geek Gab for Monday, June 2nd, 2025. Thank Ben Wheeler for coming on the show. Thank Tom Cruise for making a great movie and making a great movie series. And I want to thank my fellow host, Dornall, for doing this with me for the last 10 years, ever since the grim darkness of 2015. Encourage everybody to check out the Kickstarter for Pinkerton's Ghosts, and to definitely to pledge or buy or donate or whatever it is they're calling it nowadays, to help support the development of the Animatic and help support the development of additional routes for artistic success for the new American counterculture of decency and femininity and masculinity, so that we can get back to having some sanity in American culture again. Geek Gab is here, youtube.com/GeekGab. Once again, that's youtube.com/GeekGab every Monday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And you can also catch us on the Google Play Store, the iTunes Store, and on SoundCloud.com. Just do a search for Geek Gab. Subscribe to us on the device of your choice. Catch us on the web, download us onto your computer, and just listen to us anywhere you like, because we make it available because you are the awesome, amazingly intelligent, and freakishly attractive crowd that we want to provide with quality reviews and entertainment. Folks, we are signing out for today, but don't you worry. Don't you fret. We will be back.